Welcome viewers to another Kime to Go live stream. In this live stream we're going to be looking at actually installing the new E3D Hot end that we have. I've made the drawn parts up in Fusion 360 so we can mount it, the mounting brackets. I've also drawn up a new part cooling fan, which we will see if it fits. And so let's get into it and put it all together. So here we are. I've got my E3D V6 hot end, and I've got my new bracket which I have 3D printed after I've designed it in Fusion 360. There's the other side of the bracket. So if we go over to the printer, we can see that this bracket here, which is the new bracket that I've made, which is there. These two pillars, 3mm screws, that goes on there, like so. It clips on, and 2 screws go in there to hold it. So the hot end itself, which is this one, which is an E3D. We've got the cooling fan, which blows air over the fins to keep us cool. We've got the heat break, which is this part here, which currently is loose. We're going to sort that out shortly. And this is the heater block. In the heater block, the heat element goes into there, and the PTC goes into that one, and we shall be doing that shortly as well. That screws onto there, like so. And this then fits into here, like so. So the parts we've designed are this piece here and this piece here. This is the other piece that goes onto there, which will, once the 2 screws go in there, it'll hold that in place. And they have the new hot end in place mounted. So as I say, we need a cooling fan for this. The original cooling fan was this one here, and it had this on the end, which was this is the Creality cooling fan part. That fitted into there, like so. But our printer wanted the cooling, the nozzle, to be in the center, and this one wasn't in the center. So what we've done, we've modified this part only. So if we take this off and we replace it with this part here, which is the part I've 3D printed, this part here, I've copied the same fixings on the top. That's exactly the same, but the difference is the nozzle on the end there and how it lines up. So this will go onto there, like so. And that there is your new cooling part cooling fan. So let's put this on the printer first. Let's take this off, and let me focus the camera just a little, like so. So there we are. Turn this around, it might be a bit easier to see. I'll get rid of that. We don't need them. We're going to sort out the electrical system last. So it has 4 screws that hold this on. Get the top screw in first. Goes into here. Hold it on. So yeah, we've been quite busy with drawing the new fan, cooling shower. The new cooling. the new cooling duct, if you could call it that, I suppose. Cooling duct. That screws in the bottom. There should be 4 screws here, but I think I've lost a couple. No, there's another one. This one goes on the other side. And I've made this so it fits hopefully nice and tight. We will see about that. Once I get these 2 box screws in, we'll put the top screw in as well. The one that's missing. I don't know where it is, but it's around somewhere. It's a bit fiddly, but they should fit like so. That's it. That one in, that one in, and we got one missing. Just want to find out where that's gone. Probably. Oh. Any of your screws, just give it a shake and the screw appears. So put that one in there. And only 4 screws holding this on. And I think there's 2mm screws. So there's the new fan mounted. Like so. So if I show you that now, there is the fan mounted on the printer. And as you can see, it's blowing this way. Now if I put the extrusion head back on, I'll put this back plate on first here. And then the extruder, and through the nozzle from there, like so, and then this goes on the top. There is the new setup. That's how it's going to be. So I just see. We're going to do a test on the fan to make sure that it's working, and that's what we're going to have to do to make sure there's the airflow is pretty good. So let's do that now, shall we? So I'm going to focus this camera a little bit better than what it is, like so. So cooling panels there, we're just ready to go. So I'm going to go to the printer and turn the printer on. I'm going to start up the cooling fan, and then what we're going to do, we're going to get a match. I have a box of matches here, and I bet you're thinking, what am I going to do with matches? Well, I ain't going to set a light to it, not yet anyway. Give me time. I'm working on that. Burning the house down with matches. And children out, if there are any children out there, I wouldn't recommend you playing with matches. So the printer is now started up. I'm going to go to control on the control panel, and I'm going to start the fan up, print cooling fan. So what I've done, I've started this fan up here. As you can see, it's now turning. And the idea is we need a bit of smoke, or we just want to see what the flow is like. So the way I'm going to do it, I'm going to light a match, and I'm going to put it under here. And as you can see, the match is blowing quite vigorously. And there it goes out. So I'm just going to now do it with, I have this, which is a piece of cardboard, which I'm going to light. And when I blow this out, you get smoke. If I do this, you can see there's no flame on that now, but when I go close, there's a lot of smoke there. So I know that's working really, really well. And before I set the alarm off, I'm going to open the door. So yeah, when you do that, I forgot to say, make sure you open the doors so the smoke alarm doesn't go off. So I'm going to turn that fan off now. I'm quite happy that's blowing really nicely there, and it's all in a nice, perfect condition. So what we have to do now, we have to assemble the E3D nozzle. So we'll take that off. And let's bring this down to the bench over here, because we need to do a bit of work on this. Hopefully you can see that a bit better. I'm going to use it. Folks, I have a bit of a problem with my camera, and what I'm trying to do is use the manual focus to try and keep it in focus, basically. So here is the nozzle. We need to assemble this before we fix it to the printer. I'm going to do that now. First thing, we'll take it all apart. There's the nozzle, and that's a 0.4 millimeter nozzle in there. There is the heater block. Takes a 6 millimeter heat element. And also the PTC goes into that hole there. It's retained by a screw which is put in this hole here. And then we have the cooling fan. And we have the heat plate, which is quite tight actually. But I want to take that out of there. So I'm going to use my bit of cardboard I had earlier. I want to put it around here to protect the threads. I'm going to clamp it gently and turn it. It's not in very tight, but it's tight enough. The first thing I'm going to do is put some heatsink compound onto here. And there'll be some people who say use heatsink compound. There'll be others who say don't use heatsink compound. But my opinion is use heatsink compound. Putting that on the thread. So. And once you get this nice dose of heatsink compound on there, screw that into the heatsink. Like so. Until it bottoms out. What you do need as well is a little bit of cloth to wipe up the residual. I'm going to use this bit of cardboard and I'm going to put a little bit on here because I'm going to need a bit on there as well. Nice dose of that. So we've got the heatsink compound there. Just going to give that a wipe on here because it gets everywhere. Heatsink compound, once you get it on your hands, it goes on everything. So try and keep it a little bit localized to what you're doing. So now I have that there, I'm going to screw the heater block onto the heatsink. Now make sure you have this screw facing outwards, because that's the screw you need access to tighten the heater in. I'm going to screw that into there. Like that. And the nozzle, I'm not going to put any heatsink on that. I'm just going to screw it into here. And I want to leave about 1 millimeter gap, between here and here. You'll see in a moment. Something like that is what you're looking for. Little gap. So that when you tighten this this nozzle up, it tightens up against the heat break, and it is very, very tight. So let's do that now. Let's nip it up with a spanner. I have this spanner here, and I'm only going to nip this up now gently, like that, just to hold it all in position, which I think it is at the moment. And then what we're going to do, we need to fit the heater cartridge now, the heater cartridge and the thermistor. Now I have this one here, which is on the old printer, on the printer we're using. So we're going to go up here for a moment and go on to this one here. And the idea is I'm going to utilize this heater and this thermistor. So let's take that out now. We're going to get a screwdriver. We're going to undo this screw here, which is what holds the thermistor in. The thermistor is only held in with a screw, and it clamps up the PTFE sleeving that's on the cable, on the wire. It clamps it directly. So the only thing that's stopping it, that wire touching the heater block, is that PTFE sleeving. So when you tighten this up, don't tighten it too tight, plus the PTFE sleeving too much, otherwise it will short circuit and you will have an issue. So we're going to take this screw out, which is under here. This holds the heater block in, and hopefully these should just, wow, I'm hoping. So there's that removed from there. Now it looks like they've put a tiny bit of heatsink compound on there, but not enough in my opinion. So we're going to put that to one side for a moment. And I'm just going to cut this off here. Get that out of the way. The only thing we're interested in is two, so let's see if it fits into the new nozzle. That fits into there, which it does. I could put a bit of heatsink compound on that as well. Won't do any harm. And again, some people will like heatsink compound and some won't, so you don't have to put it on, but to me it helps. Just put a little bit on, like so. And what I'm also going to do, here is where the thermistor goes into, this little hole here. So I'm going to fill that hole with heatsink compound, like so. So we should make sure there's plenty in there. There is. So we'll now push these two back into here. And that will go in, so that'll be nice and full of heatsink compound there. I'm going to put this screw back into here. Hopefully. Well, this screw is a different screw, it's a black one, so I'm going to put that in there. It fits. Now we've lost the screw. Yeah, keep losing things, dropping things. It's not good. I heard it drop. Let's see where it went. Should be able to just tip it out. Let's try, shall we? No, it seems to have disappeared proper, that one. It definitely dropped. I can't find it. Oh, it's a shame. So what we're going to do now we've lost that screw, we're going to see if the other one fits. Because we can't do anything about that. Let's try again. Let's put them into there. Let's hope this screw is the same size as this one. It looks the same. Just don't drop this one. So yeah, I'm only lightly going to tighten that one. And then I'm going to push the heating element. So it's half and half sticking out on the front and the back. Well, now what we'll do is that, because on these heating elements you should have what's called a cold zone, which is on the where the cables go into the heating element. So if I find the Allen key, which I've lost, this one here, push that up to the edge there. I'm going to tighten this Allen key. I am very prepared. I've lost that Allen key. We need to another Allen key. I used it a minute ago. Way to organise things. The Allen key I was using. This is it. So there we are. We're going to tighten that Allen key after first of all pushing this flat. And we're just going to nip it up. So we now have the thermistor put back in and the heat cartridge put back in, wired up to the system. And that is going to go into there. So I hope like that. So there we have that in there. This one here is going to be wired up later. And this is going to have to go like that, I think. Might need a clip on there, I have to see. So now we've got that in, we need to tighten up this hot end. And the way we're going to do that is turn the pinch on, move the fan, which was catching. It's quite a powerful fan, that. And we're going to heat this up to about 300 degrees. Now, we can't currently heat up to 300 degrees because the maximum temperature, if I go to the printer, let me go to, let me take you to the printer screen on Fusion 360. No, not on Fusion 360, sorry. Let me take you to the browser where I can reconnect with the printer. And here we're connected to the printer. And if you look on the settings for the extruder temperature, which is where I'm going to go, over here. If I type in a value here of 250, say, if I type a value in of 290, it won't accept it. So the maximum effect 260. So what we have to do is take that, modify that set point, so we're allowed a maximum of 290 or 300. So we're going to go into the, sorry, I think you missed that. What I was saying is this is the interface for the clipper interface, the Sonic pad interface. If I go to here, we want to heat the nozzle up to say 250. It's happy with that. But if I go to 290, because this hot end is going to be running at high temperatures, it won't accept it. It says it's got a problem with that. So what we need to do, we need to configure that in the configuration. So here's a configuration file for the printer. And we need to go to printer configuration. And in here, there should be a configuration for the extruder. I'm just going to look for the extruder, which is here. So this is the set points for the extruder. And here you can see maximum temperature 260. Now for now, I'm putting this to 300 or 310. I'm going to reduce it later, but I want this to be hotter than the temperature I'm going to be using for a short period of time. So I'm going to save and restart that. And once I've done that, I'm going to try and heat the nozzle up to 300 degrees. Let's try, see if it works. So we're now back on the printer. I'm going to type in a target temperature here of 300. And as you can see, it's now letting me put 300 in and it's starting to heat up. So we need the nozzle in our ready to go, because I don't want to leave it at 300 degrees for very long. So here's the nozzle and it's heating up nicely. I want to get ready, so when it's at 300 degrees, I'm going to hold this here. I can see the screen when it's at 300 degrees, and when it is at 300 degrees, this is hot. At 300 degrees, I'm going to nip this, and that'll put it all tight at 300 degrees. Then I'm going to, once I've got it to 300 degrees and I tighten this up, I'm going to turn the heating off and let it cool down again. So we're currently at a temperature of 218. And it's starting to smoke, which is good. I'm going to put some heat on, some cooling on the actual temporarily on the fins of the heatsink. But this should go up to 300 degrees, I'm hoping. We're at 260 now. We have another 40 degrees to go. And then we'll tighten it. I'm going to turn the heat off as soon as it gets to 300. We're at 274. We're getting there. The ideal, I'm just going to tighten this at the hottest temperature that we're going to be using. And we're nearly there. Right, we're now at 290 degrees. 300 degrees. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to turn the temperature down to 0. So that's now cooling. I'm going to put this on here, like so. And I'm going to nip this up just very gently. So now I've tightened that up when it was at 300 degrees C. And now we can cool it down a bit. Might as well use the fan while we're here. I'll turn the heaters off to 0. As you can see here, we're now dropping in temperature. And if you look at this, when I put this on here, you'll see the temperature will drop really quick on that. It does have an effect. And once this is cooled, it's another job nearly done. Bolt it together then. It's dropping a bit quicker now because we've got the fan on there. So there we are. The heater is now cooling. And as it cools, all the metal will contract, and these, and the nozzle and the heat break and the heatsink will all become tighter. I want to get this to a workable temperature before I do any more because it's quite hot at the moment still. These things take a little bit of time. It's worth doing. We're down to 109 degrees now. So let's put this in here out of the way. Like so. That's where it will be. So that's now in there, cooling away. I'll do it a little bit more. I can put the top on there now while I'm waiting, which is this clamp here. I can put that back on there. Once we've done that, we can fit the fan on, which is this here is the cooling fan which we're going to put on. Now I can see an issue here because the cooling fan will be in the way of the wires. I might have to turn this 90 degrees. Let me see. I'm going to have to sort something out with that because if I have that like that, that might work. I'm going to turn the printer off now because it's been done that now. I'm quite happy with the temperature there. Let me turn that printer off so I can put the fan down. Of course, the printer's now off and it's cooling nicely. So this goes into there. This clips onto here. So my wires will have to come up the front here, and what I shall do, I shall make a clip that goes on here to support that. And I'll also take these up there as well. So what will happen is they will be up the center, like so. They'll be nice and cable tied in front. And we're ready to go. So that's the nozzle fitted. There's one thing we need to do is to put the PTFE tube connector, which is a Festo pin, 4mm, screw that into the top, into here. And we have to take this out of here as well. Now what I didn't do, I didn't heat this up before to take the tube out, so that might be an issue. We'll see. I'm going to try and push this down. I don't think that's going to It's not going to come out without being heated up. So what I have to do is I can take this apart, possibly. Let's try it. Let's do no harm. I'll take this one apart. Ideally, I want to heat this up with a heat gun or something like that, but as I'm in I need to try and get this to the new extruder in this stream. And then in the next stream, we can look at wiring up the electrics for this fan to this fan and giving it a run. So I'm just undoing this and undoing this. If you're watching the stream after the event or at any time and you have any questions regarding any of these, taking these apart, putting back together, the parts we're using, printing, or if you've got one of these printers and you have an issue with one, just let us know and we'll see if we can help you out. So there's the PTFE tube that goes right the way down to the nozzle, which is not good. So we're going to try and take that nozzle out with the so I'm going to leave that, and I'm going to do that at another date because I might be able to do it this way. I'll use that for the spanner. Oh yes, it's a bit of a rough way of doing, but you can take that out. This is the original PTFE hot end, where the PTFE tube goes right down to the very end, and we'll see that in a minute. So there's where the PTFE tube ends. You can just about see it in there. Going to take this heater block off. This printer hasn't done much printing, so the PTFE should be in reasonably good condition. And what's stopping it is probably this is tight. So there we are. And you can see that this printer has had a bit of an issue because the PTFE tube here should end the PTFE tube on one of these heater blocks. So let me show you this a bit. So this is the PTFE lined heat break, and you can just see the PTFE tube is in there. Now that nozzle, the flat part of the nozzle there, surface is supposed to go and touch that tube, but as you can see, when that touches there, there's a gap, and that's the size of the gap that I've got. So what's been happening with this printer, I've been printing and the PTFE tube has not been right up to the nozzle, which is bad. And that's why we've got this bit here that's stuck on there. So we're going to get rid of that. We're going to pull the PTFE out. And this should now come off, I would have thought. But I think it's going to be pretty tight because of the what we've done with that. Let's see if I can get it. There we are. I'm going to replace this bit of tube anyway. So this goes into a heat break, and it should end right there, flush with that. So when this nozzle goes in, the PTFE is right on the nozzle. But when we took this apart, it was like that. So that nozzle was there, there's a gap between the PTFE tube and this, which would have, it's a wonder I haven't seen any issues with it, to be honest. Quite lucky. But we don't want that, so I'm going to take that out. Roll back together, and a later date. So we can take this off here now. This is the old heatsink. And might be that I push that into there. Might be okay. So that now goes in, and that's now ready to go. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to now I've got the extruder mounted, or extruder head, this here, and then on the next stream we shall look at connecting up the electrical parts, which is this fan mounts connecting up to here. So we're going to connect that from there to there. We're going to take this off, put that one on, and then once we've done that, we're ready to give it a spin. So I hope you join me in the next video to see that. And I've got a bit of clearing up here to do, quite a bit of clearing up here to do. And if you have any questions, remember we're always here. Post them in the comments below. We're nearly there, and all the parts we're going to put on Thingiverse once I've completed them. And I hope you like the stream, and if you want to catch up with the next stream where we connect it all up electrically, that would be great. Bye for now.